Good afternoon, grade 12s. This afternoon I'm continuing our journey towards getting you guys ready for your final exam. And if you watch my previous video where I talked about my recovery from COVID, you'll know that my dad passed away last week, and something that I just want to share with you guys, which is very special to me, and which I believe will also be special to you, is this board. I just flipped it earlier today. The staves are at the back right now, but this was the last project my dad actually worked on. So what a privilege for me to be able to do this on his board. I just wish you could actually see one of the video clips. Okay, but anyway, so what I'm going to start with this afternoon is grouping. And I know when you guys hear grouping, you go, oh my gosh. And I think teachers also go like that, believe it or not. So I'm really going to try and make it as simple as possible for you guys. I do believe that that it's going to be a lot easier after I have explained it. So I'm going to start by looking at simple time, and specifically the grouping of notes in simple time. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to share with you something, and just to save some time, that I don't need to rewrite everything, I have decided to have a magnet. Just try it like this. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so what I'm showing in this is the division of quaver beats. Okay, so whenever your time signature says 3/8 or it says 4/8, those are basically the over 8 simple time signatures that you will have. This is how the division of a beat actually looks. So we have a quaver, and if you split the beat in half, so remember I'm talking about a quaver beat now, then you're going to get 2 semiquavers. Should it be that you split it into 3, in other words a triplet, then you can see it looks like this. When it gets to demi-semiquavers, we just have the 4 demi-semiquavers, and they are all beamed together. Okay, and then the next one that I'll show you guys is when we're working with crotchet beats. I'm going to show you how the division of crotchet beats actually look. Sorry if the crotchet beat is a bit cut off there, but anyway. So if you have 2/4, you have 3/4, you have 4/4, then the division of your actual beat is going to look like this. I'm not going to go through all of it. You can just quickly have a look. So you can see up to where we have where we split it into 2 groups, where we have a triplet and a triplet, like over here. It can either be beamed together. I prefer not extending the second line there, that it's easier to read, or you can actually just put it separate like that. And when it gets to demi-semiquavers, you just group everything together, or you put it in groups of 4. Having said that, I actually want to quickly ask you guys something. What is the purpose of grouping, except for making your life difficult? The purpose of grouping is actually to make it easier to read the music. That is it. And over time it really became this very complex thing, and this is right and this is wrong. But I want you to always go back to the purpose of grouping, to make it easier to read. So even though you are allowed, when it gets to demi-semiquavers and hemi-demi-semiquavers, to either put them in groups of 4 or of 8, like you can see over here. Here you can see I have 8 demi-semiquavers, and here I as an alternative, I've got 4 hemi-demi-semiquavers, demi-semiquavers and 4 demi-semiquavers. Okay, and I don't know about you guys, but when I look at this, it's easier to see that I've got 4 plus 4 here. Having said that, I have a written example behind me, and I want you to just quickly have a look at it and tell me how many notes you see. Now, from experience, I know that you probably go 2, 4, 6, 8, blah, 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 or you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this is difficult to read. And I'm just going to take this off. So now I still have the same number of notes there, but this time round I grouped it in groups of 4. And it's very simple to see 4, 4, 4. In other words, we have 12 semiquavers in total. Okay, and this demonstrates the exact purpose of grouping, to make it easier to read. Okay, so when in doubt, just ask yourself that question, you know, am I making it easier to read, or is it getting more complex to read? Okay, so remember this example. And then the next thing that I just want to tell you before I have a look at how we divide a minim beat is that if all else fails, you strike a blank, you forget your grouping rules, please remember this. The most important grouping rule is to put everything that belongs to the same beat together. Okay, we have extra rules after that, but if you're at least going to do that, you are going to get at least half of your marks. I promise you that, if not a lot more. Okay, so that is the main thing. If you forget everything, please just do that for me. Okay, so I showed you how we divide a quaver beat. I just showed you how we divide a crotchet beat, and now I'm going to show you how we divide a minim beat. This is way different from how I normally teach, because this is just saving some time that I don't need to write everything on the board and waste a lot of time there. Okay, so this is how it looks when we divide a minim beat. So remember, we're just talking about simple time at the moment. So when your time signature is, say, 4/2 or 2/2 or 3/2, that's when the value of a beat is a minim. Okay, so remember what I said. Group everything that forms part of the same beat together. So here I just show you how we divide the beat, and you can see up to here I didn't split any part of the beat, but to make it easier to read, I start splitting the beat from here. So if you look at this, I don't know about you, but for me this is difficult to read. So I would rather then split the beat in half there, but you are allowed to also, when it gets to semiquavers, put it like this. Okay, here I've showed you if we have 4 triplets in that beat, how we would write it out, either like this or like that. I prefer this one, it looks easier to read for me. And here you can see when it gets to demi-semiquavers, but also when it gets to hemi-demi-semiquavers. Not that you don't actually get that in the minim beat, but should it happen, then we either put it in groups of 4 or of groups of 8. Okay, but again you can see between these two, even though this one is correct, this is definitely actually easier to read. Okay, good. So let's get into our grouping rules. So like I said, NB, everything that forms part of the same beat is grouped together. And if you have my book, you'll see that these examples actually come from the book, and I am just going to explain each of them to you guys. Okay, so everything forming part of the same beat is grouped together. That is a basic rule when it gets to grouping. And like here you can see the time signature is 3/4, and you can see there's my beat 1, my beat 2 and beat 3 that's grouped in the separate beats. I'll talk about this example and the grouping of it also a bit later again, because you are allowed to also group everything together there. But if you don't do it, you are going to get at least 2 out of your 3 marks for that. Okay, the rest just becomes a bit more technical. Okay, and then when we look at any time signature, our duple and our quadruple time signatures, the middle of the bar must be visible as a general guideline, as a general rule. So if you look at this, you can see that I've got beat 1 and 2 that consist of quavers, and also beat 3 and 4, and the middle of the bar is visible. Okay, so there's not a beam over there. Then the next thing is when it gets to triple time, the division of the bar looks either beat 1 and 2 and then the third beat on its own, or beat 1 and then beat 2 and 3. So I'm talking about subdivision of the beats there. So if you look at this example, you can see there the division 1 plus 2, and then the third beat on its own is evident, and there it's beat 1 and then beat 2 and 3 that are put together. Okay, so that's just about a general guideline when it gets to the to duple time and quadruple time, and when you are working with 3 beats in a bar, no matter what the beat value. Okay, it can be 3/4, 3/8, 3/2. You apply exactly the same rule. So you know, if you convert this, say to 4/8, these would only be semiquavers. Okay, so I want you to understand we apply exactly the same rule no matter what the beat value is. Okay, then the next thing that I want to talk about is when you're in triple time, in duple time and in triple time, whenever the bar consists of quavers and semiquavers, and I'm talking specifically about you would get this in anything where the beat value is a crotchet beat or a quaver beat, this would apply. Okay, so whenever you work in a simple time signature where the time signature is duple time or triple time, if the whole bar consists of quavers or semiquavers, you can group everything together. Okay, and that's why I initially said in this example, if you think of that rule, you should actually, technically speaking, group all of this together. But if you at least follow the rule of putting everything belonging to the same beat together, you are going to get at least half of your marks. Okay, then when it gets to semiquavers, no matter what the time signature, are always going to be grouped in groups of 4. So say your time signature is 2/4. Now you have two beats that both consist of semiquavers. You group in separate beats. Okay, so you're not going to put all those notes together. Okay, and then if you if you have three beats that consist of of a long note value, like for example, I just need to get the next one here for you guys. Okay, so like here, you can see that my time signature is 4/4, and the first three beats consist of one note value, so you just use one note to indicate that. Okay, and it doesn't matter, this could also have been, say, a crotchet and then a dotted minim. Okay, so that is what you do when three beats are basically forming part of the same note or stretching over the same a long note. Okay, then also avoid ties as far as possible. There's a specific reason why we would actually not group it like this, and I will get to that a bit later. But again, if you're going to write it like this, you put a tie, you might lose half a mark. Okay, so for me, when I mark something like this, I can see that you understand the basic principle of grouping, and that is to put everything that belongs to the same beat at least together. Okay, so that's why, even though this is technically speaking wrong, you would still get some of your marks there. Okay, and then just a final general rule when it gets to grouping. Remember, it's to make it easier to read, and when you're correcting the grouping, the rhythm should sound the same. So say they give you an example like this to correct, then after you've corrected it, please just check that it would actually still sound exactly the same. Okay, you're not allowed to change the rhythm, you're not allowed to swap notes and rests around. That's not how it works. It's to improve it so that it sounds the same, and that that it's grouped according to beat and it's easy to read. Okay, so in my next video clip I will get into more detail when it gets to grouping beats together. Okay.